Okay, so let's talk about some miscellaneous stuff before we get into the heavy tools. Couple sets of earplugs. If I do get stuck having to do a long road section, recovery, or maybe I just got to bail out because the weather turned horrible, I need to get home, whatever, I need to get on the road and just ride. A couple sets of earplugs, really good. Some people wear them all the time, some only wear them when moving fast. Headlamp. Bring a source of light. I prefer the headlamp because if I have to work on my bike when it is dark, I need both hands. If you have to hold a flashlight, try and do maintenance on your bike with just one hand. It's really hard to do. Okay? Bring a headlamp, both hands are free, you're good to go. Okay? Excellent solution. Taken from the hiking type adventures. I'm going to go over this one. This is a little weird. I know a lot of people don't carry these things. A little bit of 550 cord. Some people will carry that. It's very handy. A double and a single pulley. Rated for about twice the weight of my motorcycle. Especially if I'm solo and I fall, I get injured, and my bike goes down a steep hillside, something I can't ride out of, and that's all over in just about every state with even hills. These two items and 550 cord, and I can hoist that bike out from 50 feet down a hill or more as long as there's trees along that route. And if there isn't, I can push it along the edge or whatever to get where some trees are. As long as I got a tree every 20 feet or so with one hand and the mechanical advantage of a double and single pulley hookup, I can just pull that bike right on up. In a pinch, if I've got to pull the tube out of the rear or the front, I can also just park it underneath a tree with a big branch, hook this thing up, hoist the rear end of the bike up, and then I've got a perfect situation where it's just going to hold the bike in place, perfectly upright, take the rear tire off, do my work, put it right back on. A little bit of an unusual item. If I'm not solo and I'm not in mountains, I won't bring this. There's just no need. Two people generally can get a lightweight dual sport out of just about any scenario. I might still bring the cord, but generally I have a tow strap, so I usually won't bring it. But solo, mechanical advantage is pretty helpful in that situation. If you're on a big fat cow of an adventure bike, I used to have a GS, the 550 rope isn't even enough. You need to go with a heavier rope because the mechanical advantage does make it easier on you, but the stress on the rope is the same, so get a better solution. Dragging a 550-pound motorcycle might take a little more than that. And the last thing you want to do is be breaking rope. Some way to clean off your visor is pretty important. I tend to ride a lot in June because that's not a good time to be hiking and kayaking because the bugs are too nasty out. Everything from black flies to June bugs to mosquitoes. Once you get enough of a coating on there, you've got to clean it off, and you got to do it a lot. I bring some kind of wipes or something. Obviously, you can do it if you get to a gas station, but there are times where you're just riding through clouds of bugs, and you got to clean that thing off so you can see, especially when off-roading. For working on the bike, I bring a rag specifically for working on the bike in a Ziploc so that when I cover it in grease or gas or whatever, I can put it back in the bag and it won't taint everything else with the nastiness. A couple pairs of gloves. If you can wear latex, that's fine. There's a couple of alternatives for that for those who are allergic. At least one person is a pretty good idea to bring a device like this. This is a satellite messenger. This is a Spot. I love this thing. You pay for basically pay for the device, and then you pay for a service as well. It has a panic button, which is pretty much a please come rescue me type button. There's costs involved, so be aware of that, be conscious of it, understand what it actually means and how serious your situation has to be before you push that button. You also have other ways of messaging. One of my favorites, just the OK button. You can set it up to post on Facebook, and then just tell your whole family, hey, keep an eye on my Facebook page. I'll hit the I'm OK button every day or whatever. You can also have it directly text people. You input all their phone numbers on the website. You hit the OK button. They get the message that you're okay. There's also a custom message button that you can push. Set up a custom message saying, hey, it's not an emergency, but my bike is broke down. Great example. Please rescue me. And it always sends the coordinates, the GPS coordinates of where you are. when it posts on Facebook, for example, or sends that to their phone, if they click the link, it takes them to a map and shows them exactly where you are. Very, very handy technology. There's multiple kinds, various brands and services available. I use this with solo hiking, solo kayaking, and with groups because, quite frankly, even if I'm the only one that has it, at least someone has one, and it's a fantastic solution. I bring a dry map of the state that I'm going to be in, just as an emergency in case my batteries die. I use my phone. I'm currently using this to manage the camera, which I'm using to record. I bring an iPhone. Let me talk about that real quick. A lot of people are confused in thinking that if you don't have cell signal, your GPS doesn't work. That's not true. It is not true. Trust me. Your phone works as a GPS all the time. With no signal, it works as GPS. It uses satellites. You don't need cell signal for the GPS. Now, it will not download maps dynamically when you're looking at it if you don't have cell signal. It uses the cell towers to pull the maps down. But there's apps you can put on your phone, like Motion X is a good example. There's many examples. Motion X is just one. It's about $4. Put it on. It lets you pre-download maps. You draw a little circle on where you're going to ride over the whole Upper Peninsula of Michigan, let's say. So I'm going to ride here. It'd tell it to pre-download all the maps. It'll store them on your phone. You still don't need cell signal after that. It already has the maps. GPS still works. On top of all that, even if you don't use an app, the GPS still properly locates you, and the little arrow will tell you which direction you're going. That still helps you recover and get to a place where you know where you are. You can also download tracks and routes online and download predefined tracks and follow those routes on your phone. You can plan your own and use it. Trust me, you don't need a dedicated GPS device unless you want one. The only downside to using a touchscreen like that is when you're having gloves, you can't operate the interface very well. Whereas like a dedicated Montana that's made for a snowmobile or a motorcycle will have big buttons that you can use in order to use it. Generally speaking, I don't like playing around touching anything on my dash while I'm riding anyway. I stop. If I'm going to stop, I'll take the glove off and use my phone. It just works. And I can hook it up to the USB right on the dash of my bike, and it always has power. And keep it in a case that's waterproof, and you're good. That's one option. The other option is get a Montana or a little handheld device like this E-Trex that I've used backpacking before. I don't even use this backpacking or kayaking anymore. I just bring my phone. Why? I can't call somebody with this if I do have signal. If I happen to have signal, my phone's more useful. Not to mention, I can store all kinds of crap on that. I have the full maintenance logs of my bike in that. I can pull up a wiring diagram of my bike on that. I can pull up all the information. I can store YouTube videos on it of every maintenance procedure of my bike and have literally everything I need to do anything, anywhere. So if I forget, or if I'm very cold, very angry because I haven't eaten in a while, and I'm really not focusing well, that information helps keep you on track. All possible, try and use your phone sometime. It's really handy. So I don't bring this. I would just have this out here as an example. Last couple things with electronics. I do bring a 110 plug just so that if I stop for breakfast or whatever and I happen to have a plug, I can plug in, charge some things if necessary. But for the most part, I just bring a battery pack. I find I really don't need a lot. This particular camera I'm recording with is a GoPro Session. It's one of the older models, little cubes, fully waterproof. I can recharge that thing like 10 times off this tiny little pack, and that's what eats more battery. My phone, when I have everything turned off on it and I'm just using it for a GPS and it's plugged into my bike, doesn't ever need to be recharged. And my bike can recharge this, so I'm pretty much good to go. Necessary cords as well. That's all the electronics I pretty much bring, including, of course, that particular camera. So we'll start going over tools and other stuff in the next video.